Let's talk about 5 simple steps you can take this month to lower the toxins that surround you. We'll talk about 5 key areas, including diet and our foods, functional body movement, toxic thoughts that derail us, clutter in our home, and our personal care products. Now, as I record this, I'm staying in a hotel in Salt Lake City, so I'm very mindful of the toxins that are in hotel rooms. And I also have my little mini resistance bands, and that helps me with functional body movement. I will list my video in the notes below how I work out in hotel rooms. So watch for that one. Last month in January, we talked about using a smaller plate. Now, my goal is to give you an entire series this month. It doesn't matter when you're watching this video, you can start at any time. But I started the year off and the month of January talking about using smaller plates and reducing our portion sizes, just so that we can begin to be more mindful of how we eat. And so today we're dipping our toe into some of the foods and ingredients that don't serve us. Honestly, processed and ultra processed foods are the devil. So instead of starting there, I'm choosing one ingredient, or a series of ingredients, I should say, a category of ingredients that is in so many processed foods, and that is seed oils, the hateful eight of the vegetable oils. You can even Google the hateful eight seed oils and you'll see what I mean. Canola, corn, soybean, cottonseed, grapeseed, sunflower, safflower, and rice bran oil. These are highly processed oils. And the problem isn't so much in the natural form of the ingredient itself, it's how that oil is processed as it's made into these super affordable, highly concentrated oils. They're overloaded with omega 6s and are highly inflammatory. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I don't even try to play one on the internet. So you can go to my page at citations.lowertoxiclife.com and you'll see the research and the data that those who are wiser than me have done, that I've then gone down the rabbit hole into and body hacked myself to determine, is this a fit or a miss for me? And I always encourage you to do that for yourself. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. According to an article in Science Direct, between 1909 and 1999, so 90 years, the U.S. consumption of soybean oil increased 1,000 times. This shift fundamentally changed our biological makeup. And due to this increased seed oil intake in the past 50 years, the concentration of omega 6 fatty acids that Americans carry around in their fatty tissues has increased by 136%. Oh, that is staggering and it's scary. And when you combine that with the fact that it takes roughly 7 years to get these fatty acids out of our tissues, you can see where that is a recipe for a train wreck, right? A recipe for disaster. And it's been proven that overconsumption of these seed oils can lead to an increase in the risk of sunburn. So begin to read labels. And if you haven't yet, grab my guide at lowertoxiclife.com, where I give you the list of these seed oils in a printable format that you can take with you to the grocery store. So print that out. And then as you're out and about grocery shopping, don't buy products with any of these hateful eight seed oils. And then begin to notice how high up in the list of ingredients that they actually fall. Now, I'm also going to caution you that when you're eating out, you want to begin to ask, what oils are you using? This says olive oil. Is it pure olive oil? Begin to ask questions and don't be afraid to be your own best advocate and send your server back to the kitchen to ask specific questions. Also, don't be afraid to mention that you have a high sensitivity to this list of oils. That's been my experience. I figured out that I am sensitive to canola oil, which is probably one of the most highly used in the processed foods that I was consuming before I became very, very aware of this. And for me, it started with hummus, Trader Joe's Mediterranean hummus to be specific, which I later investigated after making my own homemade and then trying theirs. I thought it was garbanzo beans. I quickly found out it was canola oil. All right, so next up in our 5 methods, we're going to talk about functional movement. And I'm going to give you my 5 for 5 for 5. This is 5 exercises, ideally 1 minute each for 5 minutes total, done 5 times a day. That gives you a 25-minute workout. And here is the workout. Elmer, and welcome back to February's 5 for 5 workout movements. So my goal is to get in 3 to 6 mini workouts a day using these type of moves. I set my watch or my timer to go off every 50 minutes, and I will get up and move around my house for 10 minutes. I will focus on these 5 for 5, which is 5 moves for 5 minutes. And ideally, I like to do those 5 times a day, but if 3 is where you start, that is fabulous. So the first thing I'm going to show you are skater lunges. And all you're really doing is for a minute, you're going to just kind of work up a little bit of getting your heart rate elevated. So you can go side to side and touch, side to side and touch, side to side and touch. And you can go as far as you want, or, again, depending on the space that you have. And so you're going to do that for 1 minute. That's your first movement. And then we're going to add on the other 4. The next thing that we're going to do are tricep dips, so that ladies, we can begin to tone and shape those arms so that we have those fantastic looking arms, so that at whatever age we can go sleeveless, right? Because we all want to look and feel terrific. And a toned body and a toned upper body adds to our confidence as well as our health, longevity, and functionality. So I use an ottoman in my house. You could use a chair, just a sofa, whatever that you have, but I tend to use this little ottoman right here for a lot of things. I actually use it as a little workout bench. So your tricep dips, the idea, you're going to stick your feet straight out. You want to keep your body as straight as possible. You don't want to let your butt sag or be too arched like this. But you're going to just start, and you're going to lift and lower, lift and lower. And if you need to bring your knees up a little bit because it's too much for you to start with, just start small. Remember, the beauty of working out at home is that nobody's there watching you. Ideally, you can go at your own pace. The only person you're competing with is yourself. So you're building your best self, and that's the most important thing. So again, if you need to start with just 8 or 5, 10, 12, that's great. But ultimately, work up to a minute. That's our tricep dips. All right, the next thing we're going to do is the Russian twist. Now, I like to incorporate a little bit of lower body, upper body, and core strength, as well as a little bit of elevating my heart rate, which the skater lunges kind of did both, a little bit of my legs, as well as elevating my heart rate. Now, the Russian twist is ideally done in this position with your feet up. If you need to start with your feet down, that's great. But in this case, we're going to be working our core. Now, I've built up to where I like to use weights. These are 8-pound weights, so it's 16 pounds total. But again, don't worry about where you are if you're just getting started. So if you're just getting started and your goal is just to start moving and build up, we're just going to go side to side, slowly working that core and building that functional movement. Because our core is what holds everything together, and as we age, that's what's going to help us maintain our balance and maintain our muscle mass and not be so prone to falling. So once you work up, you could use a water bottle. If you don't have weights at home, that's fine. But you're just going to, you're going to go side to side, and you'll begin to feel it. It'll begin to talk to you. But again, I set my timer for 1 minute, and I have a little 5 to 20 second timer in between that gives me time to change. That is our Russian twist. Now, the next movement I want to focus on are side lunges. Again, today's focus is a little bit more on lower body, but it's side lunges, and that's where you're just going to start. Again, very simple. If you want to add weights, you can do that, but you're just simply going to go side to side, squatting and lunging. And again, the slow, specific movements are much more important than
just going super fast and pounding it out. You want to keep your form, right? Okay, you want to make sure that your knees don't extend over your feet, and you want to come down as low as you can with that squat, but it's just side to side. And again, you go at your own pace to get started, but ideally, we're going to do this for a minute as well. So I mentioned weights. Here I have my 8-pound weights, so I can just go side and lift, side and lift, or just simply hold on to them at waist level and just see what that adds. Pay attention to your knees. They might talk to you, and if they do, just listen to them. Again, we're no longer in the no pain, no gain mindset. That is our side lunges. And then the final piece are runner's lunges, because again, today my focus is a little bit more on lower body. So runner's lunges are just what they seem, okay? It's just lunging out. Maybe I should do it this way. Lunging. And again, make sure that your knee does not extend out over your ankle. Stretch as much as you can, and then hold it. And I like to hold these for a minute each. So my workout today might go 6 minutes, because I like to do a minute on each leg. And then you can either step forward or step back. And then I'm going to do the opposite leg. So I'm going to lunge out. Again, most important thing is that my form is correct, and I'm going as low as I can, stretching back, but holding that. And you will begin to find that not only does it work all areas of your lower body, but it works that core as well, which again, our core controls everything. It helps how we stand, how we sit, how we walk, how we're able to get up out of a chair. These are all the functional movements that are so important.
Next up, those toxic thoughts about yourself. We all have toxic thoughts and toxic beliefs, and I want you to really stop and think about this. How do you typically begin your morning? They say we have roughly 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and roughly 80 to 90% of those are negative. And I find that very often in working with my clients and even doing my own morning pages and daily thought download, I think about how often those negative thoughts penetrate first thing in the morning. We get up, we go to the mirror, maybe we start to brush our teeth, and the first thing that we think is, you've put on some excess weight. You're looking fat. Are those new wrinkles showing up? Man, your skin just doesn't look like it used to. There's not enough. ... Not enough time, didn't get enough sleep, not enough time to make a good nutritious breakfast. Whatever it is, we have a lot of toxic thoughts, and those really do begin to creep in, and in my opinion, begin to create inflammation, higher levels of cortisol in the body, which leads to chronic disease. So scientifically, this really can be proven that our toxic thoughts can create disease. I like to start my morning with the Mel Robbins high five habit and good self-talk. Mel Robbins wrote a book on the high five habit, and that is to get up first thing in the morning and literally touch the mirror with your hand and high five yourself. What I like to do is add on to that, high five myself and say, you look fabulous. You feel amazing. You are strong and vibrant. Any type of I am statement is powerful. So you might say, I am strong and vibrant. I am amazing. I am fabulous looking. Whatever it is, begin to acknowledge yourself, begin to compliment yourself, and start that high five habit for yourself. And even little simple mantras, you've probably heard of mantras before, like every day I'm making new habits and changing my experience in life. Now, I mentioned that I started this in January, giving you 5 simple habits each month that you can begin to take so that by the end of the year, or by the end of 12 months, you'll hardly even recognize yourself. I'm all about simple habits because a confused mind says no. A confused mind says no. So if you start the year, especially with goals and intentions, and you try to start with too much, it can be overwhelming, it can be confusing, and it can truly bog you down. So what I like to do is start with simple habits and then begin to stack those. So if you go back and you watch the video that'll be at the end here, if you go back and look at those 5 ideas for January, I mentioned with food, we started with smaller portion sizes. And now we're going to stack onto that, not eating seed oils as much as possible. Do the 80-20 rule. I'm not asking you for perfection. I'm asking you to begin to create those new habits. Start with the 5 for 5 this month on the workouts, and then begin to add to those going back to January's and adding to that as well. So that's really about habit stacking, making new habits and changing our overall experience of life. And part of that, along with those toxic thoughts, include revisiting old beliefs. Most of us come into this world perfect, and over time we get beaten up by parents and family and social norms and playground bullies and all of that. We all have those things from childhood that very often we carry with us and we form a belief around. One of mine was, I'm not picked first. I was not super athletic as a child. I'm still not super athletic. I do work out. I'm great at that. But in terms of being I was on my 7th grade volleyball team, but in terms of being, really super athletic to be picked for sports teams, that was not one of my gifts and talents. Consequently, during PE, I was very often one of the last picked for dodgeball. So I created a story in my mind that I'm not athletic, I'm not chosen, I'm not picked first. And that really encroached on a lot of different areas of my life with my beliefs, right? I'm not good enough for this. I'm not good enough to do cooking classes. Now I'm doing my Jackie's Kitchen Confidential, my live cooking classes on Tuesdays. I'm not good enough to do that. Who do I think I am? Maybe these are old beliefs that you've brought into your life from childhood. I also have my 7th grade art teacher who basically asked me when I did a project I was extremely proud of. I have a brother who's 2 years older than me, extremely artistic. And the first thing she said to me was, "Did your brother do this for you?" Which he didn't. I wouldn't have even ever asked him, but he didn't. And it crushed me. It crushed my little 7th grade soul. So if you're a teacher or you know one out there, make sure that you're careful because words have impact. I told myself forever that I wasn't creative. And I had to ultimately begin to realize that creativity isn't just about, painting on a canvas or throwing pottery on a wheel or any of that, writing music or poetry. It's also in how we cook, how we entertain, how we decorate our homes, how we dress our bodies, how we impact the world. Creativity is a lot of different things. So I've had to shift a lot of those old beliefs. All right, number 4 on our list of 5 things that we can do this month is begin to organize your home. Now, if you've watched any of my shopping hauls or any of the upcoming ones, I am beginning to completely reinvent my home. Doesn't mean I'm getting rid of everything. I'm just going through, I'm categorizing, I'm deciding what do I want to keep, what do I want to get rid of, and what do I want to shuffle around maybe month to month to create an artistic new experience in my life and in my home. So I'm going to recommend that you pick just one room. And honestly, I'm starting this process in February because January is too much. Now, I was really good this past January in storing and putting away and labeling and reducing or adding to my Christmas ornaments, but I wasn't quite ready to take on my entire home. But February is great for that. So pick one room, one area of your home, and begin to reduce, reorganize 5 to 20 items each day. Just pick one area. I basically started with my closet and then some of my storage area out in my family room. I kind of cheated because I'm starting in more than one particular area, but there's a rhyme and a reason behind that, which I'll get into when in the video where I show you what I'm doing in my home. But I started with my closet going through, and I literally am wearing a lot of my clothes. I went through and got rid of everything that I absolutely knew I didn't want anymore. And then I started sorting things by color and then forcing myself sometimes once a day, sometimes 3 times a day to change out my clothing. Put it on. Do I like how it looks? Do I like how it feels? Do I like how I feel and looking at 2 to 3 hours later? Is it comfortable? That's a huge thing for me. And what else can I pair and mix and match this with that will create other combinations that are artistic, creative, and make me feel like I'm having an amazing experience without spending a whole lot more money? So that's a little bit on my recommendations for beginning to organize and reduce clutter in your home. And then number 5, go through your personal care products, your makeup, your skincare, clean it all out. Look at it and say, do I use this? Does this color still match for me? Is it expired? Let me look at the ingredients. Let me use the EWG little app on my phone, the Environmental Working Group, and just see what is known about the ingredients in these products. And then begin to replace those things slowly. One of the things that I've added is I needed new lip balm. So I researched it a little bit. I ordered Paula's Choice lip and body balm treatment for your lips. And I'm actually adding a few other ones to that. I started with this as a trial. I like it, but I've also ordered, because I'm such a fan of Dr. Bronner's, I've ordered Dr. Bronner's lip balm in the little sticks. And there's also Honest Beauty that does really well on the EWG app. Paula's Choice is a 2, and Dr. Bronner's Honest Beauty are in the absolutely verified great quality products. And then I just ordered on Amazon a tallow and manuka honey by Balm of Gilead. So I'm going to give those a try and I will let you know. I'll report back on those. So those are my 5 ideas for the month of February to begin to reduce the toxins. Again, make sure you watch the video that I recommend after this to go back to January and see what those are. But I want to really reinforce for you that habit stacking works. Habit stacking works. You're going to start with one thing each day in each of these areas, and you're going to be adding and building on it. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Give me a like, give me a comment. You don't want to miss the whole rest of this year because, like I said, by the end of 12 months, you won't recognize yourself, but I promise you this, you will love yourself, you'll love your body, you'll love the feel of things, you'll love your environment, and you're going to create a fabulous experience in your life. Thanks for spending this time here with me today.